Welcome to this explainer, where we're breaking down an absolutely electric, jaw-dropping matchup from the 2026 World Cup. Look, if you follow the beautiful game, you know that every so often, a match comes out of nowhere and completely tears up the script. It just leaves everyone absolutely speechless. Well, today, we're diving into that historic clash between Canada and Qatar. I mean, the energy on the pitch was just palpable the second the whistle blew. It really set the stage for an unforgettable showdown right there on Canadian soil. We're going to get into the tactics, the breakneck momentum, and really, the sheer chaos that unfolded over those 90 minutes.
Okay, let's dive right into this. 6. That's the number you've got to keep in your head. We're not talking about a narrow, squeak-by with one goal kind of victory here. No, we're talking 6-0. We're actually skipping all the usual housekeeping today because, honestly, a scoreline like this at the World Cup, it demands our immediate attention. A 6-goal shutout is just a monumental, incredibly rare achievement in international football, and it perfectly captures the relentless, overpowering performance we're about to break down.
Listen to this quote straight from the match commentary. "Canada don't care, they are running riot." And man, they hit the nail on the head, right? That is exactly the energy they brought. They weren't just playing a game, they were dominating the pitch. Every single time Qatar even tried to catch their breath, Canada was surging right back, twisting, turning, keeping the ball alive. It was this chaotic, high-octane momentum that completely swallowed the opposition whole. They played with that fearless swagger you really only see when an entire squad is perfectly in sync and totally dialed in.
Section 1. The setup and early dominance. Now, what's really interesting is how this early barrage actually came together. To understand how a match snowballs into a 6-0 blowout, you've got to look at the architects behind it. This wasn't just blind luck. It was a total systematic dismantling of the Qatari defense right out of the gate. First up, you've got Alistair Johnston, just relentlessly driving to the byline and standing up these incredibly dangerous crosses. Then there's Tanjan Buchanan. He kept the defense completely off balance. I mean, one second he's firing shots from a distance, and the next, he's making these perfectly timed, over-the-top runs right behind the backline. And right in the thick of it all, Cyle Larin, crashing the far post, reading the deflections, and securing those crucial follow-up goals. Keeping track of those three guys is really the key to unlocking Canada's offensive puzzle.
So let's break down the exact mechanics of that opening pressure. It's basically a textbook 3-step execution. Step 1. Johnston drives hard down the flank right to the byline and delivers a perfectly stood-up cross. Step 2. We see a massive, powerful first-time volley. Now, to be fair, the Qatari keeper actually pulls off a brilliant save on that initial shot. But step 3, that's where the discipline kicks in. Cyle Larin is right there, perfectly positioned for the rebound, and he just taps the follow-up right into the back of the net. It was fast, it was surgical, and it absolutely set the tone for the rest of the game.
Section 2. Qatar's dramatic collapse.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive disparity we saw on the pitch once things started falling apart. Think about it. What actually happens when an unstoppable force meets a team that's completely unraveling? On one side, you've got Canada running riot, executing their game plan without a single hitch, and on the other, you have Qatar, imploding so severely they end up down to just 9 men. Look, playing against a surging Canadian squad with all 11 guys is tough enough. Trying to hold them off when you're down 2 players? That's literally a nightmare scenario. It fundamentally blew the entire game wide open.
Let's walk through the rapid and honestly kind of bizarre sequence of events that define this collapse. First off, Qatar launches into these vociferous appeals for a penalty. They were clearly desperate for a lifeline, but the ref says play on. Right after that, a massive missed opportunity. Ahmad Ali gets a solid look at the goal, but completely skies the ball over the bar. You could literally see the frustration boiling over, which eventually leads to a disastrous red card for Saliva, dropping them down to 9 men. And the final nail in the coffin? A completely catastrophic defensive error, where the ball just awkwardly shuffles across the face of the goal and goes in for an own goal. Just a complete cascading failure from top to bottom.
Section 3. Jonathan David's home hat-trick. Now, amidst all this absolute chaos, one player just completely stole the show and whipped the home crowd into an absolute frenzy. I love digging into the raw match transcripts to really capture the vibe of the broadcast, and this auto-generated caption was just too good to leave out. The transcript literally says, "Patrick on home soil for Jonathan David." Yeah, the sheer speed and adrenaline of the commentary actually caused the automated system to invent a brand new soccer term.
Now, unless Patrick is some highly classified tactical maneuver we don't know about, what the commentator was actually screaming at the top of his lungs was hat trick. Obviously, we all know what a hat trick is, scoring 3 goals in a single match. But for Jonathan David to pull that off on home soil during a World Cup, I mean, come on, that is the exact stuff kids dream about in the backyard. He didn't just score, the guy put on an absolute masterclass out there.
The phrase from the broadcast, bundled in, and it's Jonathan David again, really sums up his whole night. Because it wasn't always about scoring the flashiest top corner screamers from 30 yards out. No, it was about relentless, exhausting positioning. It's about having the crazy spatial awareness to know exactly where the ball is going to drop inside the box and then having the composure to finish it. He was the undisputed hero of this match simply because he refused to stop working that penalty area.
Section 4. Canada's first ever win.
So the crucial point is really this ultimate takeaway. Canada secure their first ever win in a World Cup, and they do so emphatically. You know, getting that first ever World Cup win is a historic milestone for any nation's football program. But to do it by absolutely steamrolling the opposition 6-0, that sends a massive shockwave through the entire tournament. It's a loud, clear message to the world that they aren't just happy to be invited to the party, they are here to compete with the absolute best.
Which really leaves us with this final, burning thought. We've seen the relentless playmakers, the surgical, tactical precision, the ruthless ability to capitalize when an opponent collapses, and of course, the pure star power of a home hat-trick. So, with their first ever World Cup win secured so emphatically on home soil, how far can this Canadian team actually go? Look, if this 6-0 masterclass is any indication, the rest of the world better start paying very close attention. Thanks so much for tuning into this explainer, and keep your eyes on the pitch.